So talk character changes.
Character changes.
Or evolution as we're going into this new season.
It's a big one. Jim's arc this season is very big. I mean, we leave season 1 having had Holden and Miller go through this awful genocide on Eros, and they survive. They're the only 2 people who have survived that have really seen what this bioweapon does to people. So they come out traumatized in a lot of ways. Miller's not as affected because he's already so jaded, but Holden, when you meet him in the first season, is really kind of naive and idealistic, and his morality is very black and white. And he's run from most responsibility that's ever kind of come his way. He's a real slacker. And then as he gets kind of sucked into this conspiracy, just in this kind of act of benevolence, just answering his distress call, he essentially hits the first domino, and this cascade starts, and he feels responsible for it. So he comes out of Eros with the weight of feeling that he is partially responsible for all these people dying in such a horrific way. And I spoke to one of the top psychologists for the Canadian military before I started the season this year. Because I want, obviously you want to portray post-traumatic stress disorder in a respectful way for people who have actually gone through it. And I was asking them about how soldiers were affected, say, when they were peacekeepers for the UN during the Rwandan genocide, and they couldn't do anything about what they were seeing. They felt helpless. It's kind of that helplessness of not being able to help, of not being able to, and how that affected their personality, and how the arc of that trauma changed, and it's different for everybody, obviously, but for Holden, it informs every decision he makes in the second season. So, as a captain, and as a crewmate, and as a son, and as a lover, all of this is affected by what he's gone through, and he becomes obsessed with this bioweapon. It becomes his kind of whale, if you want to use the Ahab analogy or the metaphor. But he has this myopic focus that really kind of drives him to the brink of madness by the end.
It changed all that.
Oh yeah, I mean, and from the beginning of season 1 to the end of season 2, I mean, the arc is just so enormous, and it's such a privilege to be able to play a character that has so many different colors to play. And I wanted to portray it accurately and real, and his likability as an actor was never really a concern of mine. I wanted just for you to see how someone like him, who never asked for any of this responsibility, becomes a leader out of circumstance, and you see him fumble and fail forward, and become this man that he ends up being. So yeah, that's a very roundabout way of answering the question.
Thank you.
Hi.
Jumped in.
Yeah, sure.
So, at the end of season 1, we leave off Holden and Miller are recovering from the radiation poison. When we begin season 2, are they still recovering? Is Naomi taking over things on the ship? I know she took more of a
Naomi
leader.
already runs things.
That's true.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah, that is true.
No, I mean...
So you did take more of a leadership role inside the tunnels on Eros.
I did. I didn't have a choice. Mm-hmm. I think that, we're still a team. I wouldn't say that she takes over. She is in charge for a bit, because they're still recovering. So, but I think her main job actually in that moment at the beginning of the season is to keep everyone's humanity in check, because, like he says, they're all sliding off the rails a little bit, and we essentially witnessed what he did, a genocide. So I think she's just a bit like, okay, come back to me, we're humans, let's hold on to that, let's hold on to the heart. And I think that's kind of what she's doing as a leader in her own way in the first kind of half of the season. Second season.
Yeah, I mean, when you see Holden and Miller in the beginning of this season, the first thing you see out of Holden is a full-blown panic attack as a PTSD nightmare, mm-hmm. And then you start to realize that even though he's been irradiated and he can't have children anymore because he's been irradiated, and he's got to take drugs for cancer for the rest of his life. That's actually not the majority of the damage. The majority of the damage is mental, and it's. I mean, Miller and Holden are in a very weak state, and Naomi really kind of takes over the reins.
Amos has been a concern for Holden, especially with him being off the chain.
Very polite way for you. Yeah.
I know it's being cool. What's the situation like that going into season 2?
I think as Holden, like I said before, as his worldview becomes more gray, his morality becomes more gray, he starts to understand what Amos was talking about with the churn and how the real game is only survival. And what's interesting is that these two men start to drift towards each other. Amos, being kind of a constant and kind of finding more of his humanity, and Holden really kind of, losing his grip on that idealism and doing what he needs to do to get the job done, which is a very Amosy thing to do. The ends do justify the means for Holden in a way that wasn't true in the first season. And Amos's arc this year, I'm sure we'll talk to Wes in a second, but it's also extraordinary. And fascinating. He's got a fascinating character. And he essentially outsources his conscience to you.
Yeah, and what happens is we get involved with each other, and he kind of loses me in that way, then preoccupied. So you see him start to question himself, and without me, he doesn't have his guiding star anymore, and it spurs him into his own journey, and also I start to see them come together. I'm not sure who they are anymore. It all gets very twisted this season. It's really cool.
It's very fun to play.
Do your character's ethical compass ever get into your head when you're not on the clock?
That's a really interesting question.
I tried my best to separate it. In certain ways, you do all this work, and this year for Holden, just that's what we're talking about. Doing all the research for PTSD and that kind of trauma, and it's hard. It is hard to separate. You're in these characters all day long for 7-8 months. Working 12 to 16 hours a day, and justifying every decision that you make within these characters for this kind of mental framework that you built. And some of it has to slip in. There's no, you can't completely get rid of it. So it's tricky. It depends. Some people are very disciplined about it, and some live their characters all the time. But I try to balance it out.
For me, I love Naomi, and this season was the first time I saw something on the page that I didn't agree with, personally, which I loved as an actress, but at the same time I was so disappointed, and then I was like, oh no, but I need to get my head around this. And it's funny, we were having conversations and I'm like defending her, and he's like, no, she's this, and I'm like, no, she's not, and he's like, you're defending her. I'm like, I know, what's wrong with me? So it's hard to keep the separation, but I don't want to give anything away, but I've done some research into mindsets of terrorists, and just to influence some of our storyline, and it was really tough. It's like the first time I've been like, Naomi, what are you doing, girl? It's also really juicy and cool for the show, and for people to watch it. It's going to be great. So yeah.
There's so many people who dress up in cosplay wanting to be the characters that they see. So when you're an actor and you leave something, you're in a coffee shop, you have to, I'm asking myself, do I remind myself that if hell were to break loose at this very moment, would I be up to the task that the person that I play?
I actually ask myself that sometimes. Like, I don't think I would deal with what Naomi goes through and what she's been through as well as she does. Like, I think there'd be a lot more crying if, he started shouting at me on the ship. I think this is what we should do, okay? So for me, I'm always like, you're great, girl. And I just, because we're not our characters. There's always elements, it's the thing with acting, there's always elements of them in us, but we're not our characters. And I am not Naomi, and it's weird when you come across something on the page, you're like, oh, I definitely wouldn't do this, but cool.
We're at a Comic-Con, so I hope you'll be okay with this, but what character, if you could play a superhero, would it be? In the absence of that, who do you like?
I love Wolverine. I think I'd like to be like a female Wolverine or Storm. I mean, she's the only like black mixed race.
There's more than people know.
That's true. No, do you know
when you
who
get
I
involved
would
in
like
comics,
to play?
Go ahead.
She's not a superhero, but what's her name from Saga?
She's awesome. That's a
it's
great
Hannah.
series.
Her. If like there was ever someone, because I just think she's
We'll
awesome.
certainly score a lot of points with the comic book geeks then.
Yeah, I love her, and I was like, I kind of look like her. I can like straighten my hair, comb it over, and yeah.
Outside of Saga, what do you like in comics?
I'll play the Lion Cat.
I love Lion Cat.
Lion Cat's amazing.
I feel like I am Lion Cat in real life. I can always tell when people's lying.
And what comics do you read outside of Saga? Or would you be interested?
Saga, I like the what's it? The Wicked, the thingy, and the
The Wicked and Divine. Oh, yeah.
the Wicked and Divine. I like that one. I haven't been reading much comics lately though.
That's fine. To a certain point in life, you can't do everything.
Saga's my favorite though. Saga is for sure my
Will you guys be hitting the show floor?
I don't know if we're gonna have time today. I mean,
You're just going to see our people at the panel.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
You know what I'm wondering is, you're talking about when the writers are working with you and watching your performances and all, what elements of yourselves do you think they've started incorporating into the characters? Because that generally happens. They watch you and they say, hey, we're going to tap into that.
yeah, it's interesting. We have a very unique creative culture on this show, and it's very collaborative, actually. And I mean, we've literally every Sunday that we have done this show from the first episode on, we rehearse on the weekends with the writers there, and the directors are always invited. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't. So everyone's able to contribute to the character development of this show and the plot development. It really is, I've done this since I was a teenager. It's been 15 years for me, and I've never been in an environment quite like this one. It feels more like a theater troupe.
Percentage-wise, how often does your voice make it into the character?
Oh, I'm going to go and say 65.
Yeah, a lot.
And it gets to the point for actors on TV shows, no one knows your character better than you. Like, it's yours. It gets to the point where you form a point where she's like, Naomi's mine now, and it's like, there's stuff I know about her that other people don't know. So our writers are incredible, but if there's stuff on the page that we're like, I don't think she would do that, and we explain to them because of this, and they're like, do you know what? Yeah, let's change that to that. And
So if you could go back to the pilot, would you play your character the same way that it is now?
yeah.
Yeah, because it was always that way.
It was from the get-go.
I mean, it was always that collaborative. It's been really amazing. Like I don't know if.
I mean, this is my first TV show, so I'm like, this is normal for me. And everyone's like, nope.
Not usually how it goes. We have a level of creative freedom on this show that is truly. And I'm not.
Where do you think that comes from? The network?
I think it comes from the top down. I mean, I think it comes
and a
from.
lack of egos. Like,
There's a real lack of vanity within the creatives that are running the show. It's like, between Mark and Hawk and Rain, the showrunners, it comes from the top down. They want us to tell them how we're feeling. I mean, and like Dominique was saying, is that by the end of the second season, I mean, we've lived these characters for multiple years, and within these mindsets for a long time. The writers
always valued that about us and our opinions and how we feel about the scenes and our interactions between each other as a crew and the outcomes, and if things aren't ringing true when we flesh out scenes together, when we read through them, it's changed because everyone wants the show to be great, and that's not just from the writers and the producers and the cast, it's the crew as well.
Everybody.
Like from props to wardrobe to set design, everyone loves the show and wants it to be the best it can be, and that's why we have this creative culture that we do, because that always trumps anything else, anyone's ego, and we're the same with each other. If us as a racing crew, if we sit together and someone makes a suggestion, we're all a bit like, it's like, okay, fine, I'm out, because that's our aim, is to make the show, make a great show.
What I wondered.
Sorry. You mind? I just want to get a quick photo of the two of you.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of Thank you. you so much.
Sure.
You were talking about a second ago that, no, she wouldn't do that, or you could say he wouldn't do that. Is there ever a danger in that, though? Like, I've done a lot of interviews. No, I've looked at shows, gone in depth on shows where they say what happens after a while is an actor starts saying, he wouldn't do that, she wouldn't do that, and it almost closes you off to new possibilities. Is that a danger?
Sorry, why I laughed is because a lot of the times we fight for something and then like I'll turn to Wes and be like, I feel like this is a really bad choice. And I'm like, fucked it. And it's like, you have that pressure of like, no, I know her best, but then it's like, you have a little bit of a side eye of like whether you do. But I think it depends what kind of person you are and what you're surrounded by, whether it closes you off and what the reason is for you saying that. And I think if it's vanity based, then yes. But if it's for the good of the show and the character, and you know the difference between that, which I feel like it always is with us, and if it isn't, another one of us will be like, no, you just don't want to wear a fat suit anymore, or you know what I mean? We have that relationship, so it's like they know if I'm saying something that I want to change about Naomi because I'm uncomfortable that she's taken that, or whatever it is for either of us, and I think because we have that, we can do it. I do think there are some instances where actors may say it because it's vanity-based or ego-based, but that's not the case with us, thank God. And I think it shows. Always with me.
Wait to season 6.
That's right.
I want a Mercedes.
Okay. With that last thing, is that I think it really does come down to what she was saying is the attention. And, we do keep each other honest, and it really is. And I know this sounds totally cliche, but like everyone legitimately is passionate about what it is the best they can do, and if you can manage with the cast and because it happens too with cinematographers. It can happen anywhere when someone will fight for their vision for something. But as long as it's for the betterment of the show and they're open to new ideas, and maybe yours wins out, maybe it doesn't, that's okay. It's when people are taking stands for bullshit reasons that shit really starts to hit the fan. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.